What is up, all you individuals out there? It's me, full-time anime man. And yes, as you see here, I am finally back with What If Deku Was a Warlock? A certain part, I think this is part 5, I believe. Anyway, so yeah, a small number of people have been waiting for quite a while for this part to come out. And yet, here I am to deliver it after possibly 13 days of not uploading, but hey, I'm in no hurry. Anyway, just a quick heads up, the audio is a bit, how do you say, crappy at the moment because my microphone is having technical errors, but I'm pretty sure I'll get those errors fixed soon. So just a quick heads up, you might want to adjust your volume on your device just to protect your ears and, your device as well. But for now, enjoy the video.
Where we last left off, Izuku had gained the powers of the Ark, but Bakugo interrupted his ritual. While Izuku had a hold of Bakugo and Bakugo having a hold of Izuku, they both were sent to the Ark realm. Izuku came back, but Bakugo didn't, because he was not found worthy of the Ark. Izuku then sent himself back to the Ark realm to save Bakugo, but they were on a race against the clock, for if neither Bakugo or him made it out in time, they both would be trapped there for all eternity. We pick up where we left off. As Izuku's body was soaring through the clouds in the forms of electricity, a white light engulfed his body, and he reverted back to his human form. He felt something on the ground as if he'd touched surface. Strange. He recalls soaring through the clouds. What's he doing on the ground? Suddenly his ghost spoke. Guardian? Guardian, are you okay? Yes. Yeah, ghost. I'm alright. Izuku then stands up while shaking his head and rubbing his eyes. Oh, but that felt really weird though. He then opened his eyes to see what appears to be an infinite white void and what appears to be smoke surrounding him. Unsure of what is even lighting his surroundings. Is this the Ark realm? Yes, I believe so, Guardian. Hold on. Ikora? Ikora, can you hear me? Nothing. We can't communicate with anybody while we're in here. Great. How are we going to find Bakugo if... Whoa. Suddenly, his thinking was interrupted when a sudden wind picked up and started blowing the smoke in one direction. As the smoke got more thinner and thinner, it revealed a sort of town. Izuku's town. But there was no people, there was no cars. Not another living thing around there except for him. Ghost, what's going on? I think that this place is a sort of different dimension, and this is its way of having you adapt to what your mind is able to comprehend. Well, anyway, come on, we need to find Bakugo. He would walk around the potential city and shout Bakugo's name only for no one to say anything back. What felt like a minute felt like an eternity for Izuku, for time seemed to work differently there. He looked up above and saw that the clouds were getting thinner and thinner by God knows how long he's been walking around. But something told him that if once those clouds are gone, that's it, and that he will be stuck there forever. Suddenly, while he was searching, Izuku heard a strange noise. He looked around. Guardian, there's something coming our way, but it's not your friend. Izuku readies himself for a possible challenge as he stands there waiting for something or someone to turn the corner. Suddenly, the sound of a demonic hum can be heard. It got louder and it felt like it was getting closer by the second, but it's like Izuku kept looking around, but there was nothing there. And then it stops. Izuku stands there, waiting. Ghost, where is it? Guardian, stand completely still. My radar is telling me that it is right behind us. Izuku then takes in a deep inhale, and then he jumps back, thinking that he was going to see some sort of giant monster or something, but nothing. There was nothing there. Ghost, that's not funny. No, Guardian, I swear, something is nearby. I sense it. Suddenly, the sound of hissing can be heard from right up above him. The ghost was already looking up at it, but Izuku wasn't. He slowly turned around and looked and saw what appeared to be a giant skeletal snake slithering not about 2 inches away from his face. It had sort of glowing eyeballs right where its eye sockets are to indicate where his eyes are, and it visibly had blue electricity flowing throughout its body. Izuku was frozen with fear, too scared to even move. But then, the giant electrical snake broke the tension by lunging itself at Izuku, trying to bite him over and over again. Izuku would barely be able to dodge, and he found himself having to use his guardian powers to try and beat the snake, but for nothing to work. Sticky grenades, flash grenades, like nothing worked on this thing, not even Sun Singer. Izuku was getting tired by the minute of wasting his powers and constantly having to dodge this giant snake's bite attack. After Izuku got a good distance away from the snake, he finally was able to catch his breath. Ghost, how do I defeat this thing? Wait a minute, just let me think. Wait a minute. Guardian, use the arc. The arc? But this thing is made of electricity. Won't I just be feeding it more power? Yes, Guardian, but what happens if you overcharge a battery? Well, it overheats, it expands, and then it explodes. Oh. Let's hope this thing has a limit. Izuku then powers up the arc, and then he found himself levitating in the air. The snake creature then charged at Izuku, and Izuku blasted electricity at it, and the giant tree snake absorbed his power. It grows bigger and bigger by the second that it absorbs Izuku's power, but then it gets slower. I think it's working, Guardian. Keep going. Izuku continues to feed it more and more until at one point it let out a loud shriek as it curled up like a pretzel and screamed in agony, and it let out an explosion. It vanished into thin air. Izuku was victorious. Oh man, I really thought I was gonna die there. Well, not like you can worry about it. I can bring you back to life. Anyway, come on, we need to go find Bakugo. They run for a few more minutes, and the clouds are getting more thinner. But then, they hear screaming followed by explosions in the distance. They run, and they turn the corner into an alley and see 3 smaller versions of that snake creature that Izuku was fighting earlier, and Bakugo with his clothes singed from not just the explosions, but from also the snake's electricity shooting at him. The 3 snakes then looked at Izuku, and Bakugo looked with them. Deku! What the hell is this place? The snake creatures then slithered towards Izuku and tried to attack him, but Izuku powered up the arc and overcharged them, causing them to explode. Guardian, you need to be careful on how much you use the arc. Overusing it could possibly lead to you being exhausted. Yeah, you're right. I'll keep that in mind. Bakugo then shouted, Deku! What? Explain yourself right now! We do not have time. We need to get out of here. No! Tell me what's going on right now! Ever since I got here, these things have been trying to kill me, and since you are the one who brought me here, you know what's going on! Fine. I will tell you something. Look up there. You see those clouds? Once those clouds are gone, we are stuck here until the end of time. So, do you want me to explain what this world is, or do you want to go home? Bakugo grins his teeth and says, fine, just get me out of here. Bakugo then grabbed Izuku's forearm and Izuku grabbed Bakugo's forearm. Whatever. Ghost, let's go. I'm ready, Guardian. Izuku then blasts electricity towards the sky, and his body and Bakugo's body were engulfed in electricity. They found themselves soaring through the sky, about to go home, but then they felt something pull them in another direction. What's going on, Ghost? I don't know, Guardian. Suddenly, the town from underneath them was engulfed by the white smoke again. What the hell is going on? I don't know, said the ghost. And Izuku tried to use the arc, like, they got stuck in the air for a second, and Izuku tried to use the arc to blast off again, but he couldn't. The arc stopped. What happened to my powers? In the distance, a voice could be heard. I took them away. A bright spherical light enters their sight. Who are you? Asked Izuku. I am the deity of the arc. I am the one who granted you your powers to shoot electricity through your fingertips. But why did you take my powers? Because I needed to tell you that he refers to Bakugo, cannot leave the arc realm. Bakugo yelled, What? Why the hell not? Izuku shushes him, saying, Bakugo, just shut up! We are here because of you, so just let me handle this. Why can't he leave, deity? Because, for one, he is not worthy of my power. When someone attempts to summon the arc on themselves, I know everything about the person to see how pure they are. He is, and not only is he a guardian, he is very full of himself. He thinks that he is the best and acts all high and mighty to others who he thinks is smaller than him. He will pick on the weak just to make himself feel bigger. You should know that more than anyone. He did it to you the most before you were gifted by the power of the light. Bakugo in the back thinks about his actions and how he mistreated Deku. He was about to say something, but Deku said something before him. You're wrong. Bakugo may be a bit rough around the edges, but deep down he actually does care about people that surrounds him. But he thinks that if he shows his soft spot, that he will show weakness. The Orb of Light thinks for a second and says, I see what you mean. He has a sort of complex where he feels like he needs to be the best and needs to be the strongest one, so that way he feel like he doesn't let anybody down. Can you two not talk as if I'm not standing right behind you? Anyway, there's another reason why he can't leave. You see, he has spent too long here, and his body has already adapted to the arc that is around us. This whole world is made of arc, and his body has already grown accustomed to it, just like you, Guardian. The only difference is he's not chosen like you. If he goes back and he touches the Earth's surface, all the electrons in his body, his positive and negative electrons, will leave through the Earth's surface, and he will die on the ground. Bakugo and Izuku's eyes widen after hearing those words of the deity. Bakugo says in a muttered voice, So, I'm stuck here. Damn it. Bakugo falls into a small state of depression. Izuku says, "There's gotta be something we can do." He thinks and says, "Wait a minute, Ghost. I'm somewhat immortal, right?" "Yes, as long as I am with you, you are immortal, Guardian." "Well, can you make Bakugo a Guardian too?" Bakugo looks up as with a surprised look. "What?" "Well, I've never heard of such a thing. One ghost having more than one guardian? I don't know if it could be possibly done." The Arc God speaks. "Actually, it is possible. I have seen one ghost with two guardians, and I gave them both the Arc power." "You're saying there's a chance?" "Yes, but there's a downfall. You see, there's only one way for him to become a guardian, and there's only one way to have him executed, if you may. And if you by any chance have to use that remedy, it would have to sacrifice his quirk before he can become a guardian, because it would have to reanimate his body, and it would reanimate his alpha waves, which makes his quirk." Bakugo then said, "What? There's no way in hell I'm giving up my quirk." Izuku angrily said, "Bakugo, do you want to keep your quirk and stay here forever, with no one to talk to, alone? Or would you rather give up your quirk and gain new powers, go back home? Which one do you want? The choice is yours." Bakugo thinks for a second, and he looks at his hands and does a few flashes. And then he turns around and says, "Fine, just get it over with." Ghost then says, "Okay, but first I have to ask you a few questions. Are you devoted to what? Your cause? Anything that makes you get out of bed and put time and effort in?" "Yes, I want to be a hero." "Okay, that's good. Second, would you be willing to sacrifice your life to save another?" Bakugo thinks really hard about that and says, "Well, as a hero, I wouldn't have a choice. I would be willing to lay my life down for a better tomorrow for that person. So yes." Last question. The ghost gets close to Bakugo's face and he says, "Do you fear death?" Bakugo clenches his fists and says, "What kind of question is that? Of course I fear death. Death is inevitable. It comes for us all, and there's no way to avoiding it. But there are other people, the bad guys out there, who want to push that upon the innocents and take their lives before they even have a chance to really live it. And as a hero, I want to stop that from happening. To bring justice to this world." "Okay, great. But there's one more thing to happen in order for you to become a guardian." "And what would that be?" "You would have to die." "What the hell?" Bakugo... sorry. "Because the light needs to rejuvenate your body, and for you to withstand the power of just the light, you would also be withstanding the power of the Arc as well. So if I go back home, I'll die, but in order to become a guardian, I have to die?" "Yes. That is correct." "No, I'm not doing it." "But I will bring you back to life. You would have nothing to worry about." "Hell no." "Bakugo, I'm going to ask you this again. Would you rather stay here for all eternity or go back home?" Bakugo thinks and grins his teeth while running his fingers through his hair and angrily says, "Fine, but I better come back with all my memories intact." "I promise you will." He then looks at Izuku, coming to the discovery that Izuku died at some point, and he turned out fine. Why wouldn't it turn out fine for him? So how do we do this? Asked Bakugo. Actually, I have a solution for that. And, the Guardian already explained how this would basically reset your alpha waves, which would take away your quirk. You see, I have this sort of weapon of my own. It's a sort of flashlight. If someone looks directly into it, it triggers a certain part of their brain that stops their heart. That would be considered dead. So, once your heart stops, I will reanimate you and your body, and you will become a guardian. So, are you ready? Bakugo takes in a deep breath and then lets it out. I'm ready. Okay, now, just hold still. Look at me. Ghost then opens up with a small ball floating and powering up in the center of him. Bakugo looks dead at it, and then it lets out a sort of flash that made Bakugo go silent. His eyes go milky white, and he just hovers there in midair. Izuku quickly checks his pulse. Nothing. Quickly, reanimate him! The ghost then scans his body, and then he manages to reanimate Bakugo, making him a guardian, bringing him back to life. He coughs and gags for a few seconds, and then he actually speaks to Bakugo. Guardian, are you okay? It took Bakugo a few seconds to say something. Yeah, I'm fine. Did it work? Yes, Guardian. You are now a guardian. Bakugo looks at his hands and tries to use an explosion, but, as promised, nothing worked. Because, he had to sacrifice his quirk in order to become one with the light. They both look at the Arc God and they say, "May we leave now?" Yes, you may leave now. But note this, Katsuki Bakugo. You will not inherit the powers of the Arc just yet. Show me your worthiness. And soon, the Arc will awaken within you. Farewell. The boys' bodies then turned back into electricity and they were sent off. As they were engulfed in a white light, the boys found themselves back on the tower of the Harukas. The boys slowly get up and Izuku asks Ghost if he is okay. Yes, Guardian. I am fine. Hey, what about me? Asked Bakugo. You're standing. You're fine. Bakugo finds himself gritting his teeth and about to say something, but he brushes it off and focuses on the matter at hand. He is now a guardian. His quirk that people once praised is now gone in exchange for new ones. He tries to set off explosions in his hands, but it doesn't work. This is reality. His explosions are gone. He lets out a sigh and sits down. Izuku sees this and builds up enough care to go over and comfort him. Hey man, look, it's gonna be alright. How? Asked Bakugo. How is it gonna be alright? I worked so hard my entire life to make my quirk strong and now it's just gone. What am I going to do? How am I going to become the number one hero? Izuku sits down next to him and says, your quirk may be gone, but you have something more coming your way. You have already heard about my other powers, void manipulation, fire manipulation, and now he raises a hand up and shows the electricity in his hands. Electricity manipulation. All of which I've earned through hard work. There's no doubt it'll work for you too. Bakugo thinks about Izuku's words, and in his mind, he goes back to when he heard that Izuku died in order to become a guardian. Wait, Deku, what happened? You died at some point? And this thing that looks like a square robot brought you back to life? Yes. But how did you die? Izuku sarcastically says, I don't know. Maybe I took a swan dive off the side of our middle school. But no. I was attacked by a sludge villain and it suffocated me to death. Ghost found my body and he brought me back to life and taught me about my new abilities as a guardian. Suddenly, their conversation... sorry, I almost skipped this part. Ghost floats next to Bakugo and he says, yes, and if Izuku here can succeed, you can too, new guardian. But first, before we get started with your training, I'm going to need you to pick a class. Bakugo's confused. A class? Like school? Not like school, trust me, that's what I first thought too. I was referring to these classes. He brings up 2 classes that a guardian chooses, but there's only 2 because Izuku has already taken Warlock. So the only things that were left were Titan and Hunter, if I remember correctly. The ghost would explain that would explain each of the classes to Bakugo, and after hearing what after hearing what Titan has to offer, he chooses that one. And just as Ghost was about to grant him his newfound abilities with the Titan, they were interrupted by the doors opening to the roof of the building, a security guard coming through it. Before he could spot them, Izuku quickly raises a purple ball into the air, temporarily blinding the man. Hey, what are you 2 doing up here? No one is allowed up here. Izuku then quickly grabbed Bakugo and he jumped off the roof. Bakugo screams as him and Izuku fall. Are you crazy? Asked Bakugo. With each passing second, the wind would whistle loudly in their ears. They get closer and closer to the ground, and Bakugo closes his eyes when all of a sudden he feels the wind getting softer on his hair and skin. He opens his eyes and sees that Izuku is gently floating them down. When they reach the ground, police officers were hot on their tails. A police car was chasing after them, and so the boys take off the roads and run past houses in tight areas where the police will be forced to chase them on foot. When the time came to jump over a very tall gate, Izuku quickly levitates over it while Bakugo was held back. Wait, what about me? Izuku says, Bakugo, you have the powers of a Titan. It's time that you learn how to use them. But I don't know how. Ghost says, I can help you. You see, as a Titan, you are able to double jump off of air. With your new abilities, just get a good running start and just do it. It is that easy, Guardian. Bakugo tries but fails the first time. The police get closer, and Izuku says, Come on, Bakugo! We gotta go! You can do it! Bakugo clenches his fist, and then he gets another running start. He jumps into the air off of the ground with one foot, and then with another, it looks like he stepped on an invisible staircase, getting over the tall gate. Good job, Guardian! You did it! Bakugo is actually really proud of himself for doing that. The 2 boys would jump from rooftop to rooftop, basically doing some hardcore parkour. Bakugo already getting the hang of double jumping abilities, and soon the boys didn't even notice this because they were having so much fun, but they lost the police a long time ago. Bakugo was amazed of what just happened, and he has all these new powers and so many possibilities. So, what are some other things I can do? Is it possible that I can be stronger than Deku? Well, if you were referring to my master here, and yes, you are indeed a machine of war, and is so maybe even more stronger than a warlock itself. Izuku is a bit irritated by the ghost's words, sounding a bit biased towards Bakugo when really he's just trying to be generous towards him. So he doesn't say anything. Oh, wow, this is nuts. Here, come on, little robot. I want to know more about what I can do. Bakugo tries to grab Ghost to take him off somewhere, but Ghost hesitates. I don't know, Guardian. I don't want to leave my first Guardian, just in case he might need me. Izuku says, Ghost, it's fine. It's probably best that you take Bakugo here and help him learn about his new powers. Are you sure, Guardian? Yes, I'm sure. And by the way, just call me Izuku, okay? Oh, okay. Bakugo looks at Deku and has a new respect for him, even after all the bullying that he put him through. He still wants to help him. Izuku turns and runs off. Hey, Deku! What is it? Bakugo then grudgingly reaches out with a hand and he wants Izuku to shake it. He doesn't say anything, but Izuku gets the message, and they firmly shake hands, and Izuku says, good luck. They go their separate ways, and by the time Izuku got home, the sun had already set. Izuku would tell his mom that he will be skipping dinner tonight and go to his room to sleep. He would then take off his hero suit and would lay in bed and have a strange dream. His dream would start with flashy images of what appears to be robots with heads resembling pyramids and some looking like a skeletal torso. What the hell is this? This was the Vex, and they spoke in a very strange language, but Izuku couldn't understand what they were saying. It then ended with the Vex looking directly at Izuku. They then aimed their weapons at him and fired. Izuku woke up with a flash and a cold sweat on his brow. His phone rings, which startled him. He picked it up. It was Bakugo. On the other line. Hello? Deku. I just had a weird dream. There were these robots and they looked scary as hell. Deku? Dude, I just had the same dream. The ghost appears from Bakugo's body and he says, I know what's going on. A few minutes later, the boys then meet up and Ghost explains the situation. Those robots you boys saw was the Vex. They were the ones that brought me back in time. And what's their deal? Why are they appearing in our dreams? Asked Bakugo. I don't know, but I have a feeling that something bad is about to happen. And you boys need to prepare for whatever it may be. We need to make sure that your abilities become stronger. Bakugo, you need to be more well acquainted with your new abilities. Izuku and Bakugo looked at each other. Have you gotten used to your abilities yet? Yeah, I've learned to control, what is it called again? Sensational? Or Sentinel. It's called Sentinel. Yeah, Sentinel. Wait, what is Sentinel? Asked Izuku. It's another form of void light, only it's a little more stronger than yours. How so? Izuku says in a very angrily voice. Well, he has the ability to form his void light into a shield, a handheld shield, sentinel grenades, suppressor, void wall. Wow, that's pretty impressive. You're learning very quickly, Bakugo. Indeed, he's making faster progress than you, Izuku. Bakugo smiles and Izuku scoffs, but there is still so much to learn. Well then, let's go. What about you, Izuku? Asked Ghost. You two can go on. I have to go train on using the Arc. I almost conjured what appeared to be an electrical grenade yesterday. Alright then, good luck. A few hours later, the boys enter the classroom, and after a few minutes, All Might comes to the All Might comes to the door. All Might comes through the door while saying, "I'm coming through the door like a normal person." Everyone was surprised. He then says that they will be doing a heroes versus villain test, but the most important thing about being a hero is looking the part. All Might then presses a button on the side, and it shows a secret compartment with everyone's, except for Izuku's, suitcase with their number on it. He then tells them to meet him in City Ground Data. They all get up and go get dressed, except for Izuku, he just follows All Might down to the fake city. Young Midoriya, don't you have a hero suit? Yeah, I do, but Bakugo's got it. He's talking about his suit being inside of Ghost, and Bakugo's got Ghost. Well, don't you want to go get it from him to get dressed? No, he'll be out any minute now. And they do. They walk out of the tunnel from the shadows and into the light in a slow motion fashion. And everyone is wearing their signature hero suit. Also, Bakugo is wearing his original suit as well, even with a little bit of his sweat left in his gauntlets. Izuku walks up to Bakugo and whispers, "Bakugo, I need my suit." Bakugo nods and he shakes Izuku's hand, passing Ghost on to Izuku. Uraraka approaches Izuku and asks him if he's going to do it. Izuku smiles and he says, "Suit on!" And his body was engulfed in a bright light, putting him back into his hero suit. All Might says, "Wow, that was an impressive trick there, young Midoriya." Now, on to the test. Today, we will be doing... Suddenly, All Might was interrupted by a sort of earthquake. Huh? What is that? Asked All Might. Suddenly, a light in the distance comes from space and touches the ground in a beam of light. I think I already verified that. Wait, I know that from somewhere, said Ghost. That's the same light that brought me here. Guardian, we may have trouble sooner than I thought. And he was right, because what appeared from that portal next was an army of Vex.
And that is going to do it for this episode of What If Deku Was a Warlock? I wonder what's going to happen next. Bakugo is now a guardian, and the Vex have came back in time to come and get Ghost. This is going to get very juicy indeed. So, you want to find out what happens next time? Tune in next time. And I'll see you all in the next one. Oh, but before I go, consider yourselves #blessed. And you all have a nice night. Goodbye.